back, everyone, to Pod of Thrones. I'm Jeff.
I'm Jennifer.
And joining us for the first time in how many months was it? I don't know. A bunch of months.
Two
months.
2 months. It's Kevin.
Kevin!
Wow.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
That was the biggest welcome ever, babe.
I missed Kevin.
I love having big welcomes. That's why I have so many kids, because when I get home, they always are so happy I'm there.
Aww.
Wait a second.
Nice.
Wait a
He's
second.
a good dad.
Even the teenager?
Yeah, he's kind of happy I'm home, except he doesn't really show it.
Oh. Well, I could assume that my teen is also happy that I'm home, but also definitely does not show it.
Yeah.
That's how I sleep at night, at the very least.
I have to decipher him. Like, it's communication with him is hard. It's through Snapchat.
What?
And it's through Hamilton lyrics. That's it.
Nice.
So you write like haikus out of Hamilton lines and send those to your son to try to tell him to go to bed or something?
Yeah, something like that.
Have you seen Hamilton?
I've not seen it. Well,
Okay.
I've kind of seen it.
What does that mean? Like bootlegs?
I've not been to the play live, but I've watched a recording of it.
Yeah, bootlegs. All right. Well, I should do that.
Yeah.
That's
'Cause
a
I'm
great
never gonna
idea.
get to
We
see
should
it.
do that.
It's not something I would normally be in favor of because it's not going to be that great of an experience, but
We're not going to
we're
ever
never
experience
fucking
it
going to
anyway.
see the show. The show was playing 5 feet from where I work.
It's in LA right now. Yeah.
Well, it was in Orange County where we live. I'm working in an office building that is owned by the same people and is adjacent to the big performing arts center in Orange County, and Hamilton was there. I had no chance of scoring tickets.
We tried.
Yeah, I tried.
We really tried.
Entering their stupid lotteries and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
It just didn't work out. So that I may have to just sign on to that. I'll get on the internets and try to find a sketchy recording. You're driving me to
No, I
desperate
watched it.
measures, Hamilton.
Because I couldn't get on I tried to get into the one in Charlotte and couldn't do that.
I know a lot of people listen to the soundtrack and they're all like, "Oh my god, you got to hear the soundtrack. It's amazing." But I really don't like doing that before seeing a show. I don't know. I guess maybe I just feel it'll spoil the show for me. I don't know what's going to happen to Hamilton.
It's history, so how can it be spoiled?
Hey, maybe they have a happy
Hey,
ending on this
spoiler
one.
alert.
Maybe they change it around and he catches the bullet in his mouth.
Every time I
and then-
listen to the soundtrack, I think it's going to be a happy ending at the end, but it's always wrong.
It's just like Rent. I got way into that when I was in college. Listened to that soundtrack a bunch of times.
That's
and that
the
one
whole reason I started.
never has a
That's
happy
why I
ending.
listened to it. Because we were growing up poor. We never really could go to stuff, and I listened to Rent probably 400 times before I actually saw it when I was like an adult.
Yeah? How did it stack up?
So
Like,
it was fine. I mean,
was
it
it
didn't
worth
ruin
waiting?
anything.
I don't know that I think
But
Rent
maybe it
has.
enhanced it. I knew the songs. I knew what was coming next. I could just enjoy the time.
I wonder if Rent has aged well.
Anyways.
I haven't seen it in a long time. We should watch it.
It's aged fine.
Yeah. There's the movie version that has almost the entire same cast as the regular people. They're just older, or like the original cast.
Yeah.
Just
Oh,
too,
fun fact:
too
the girl
old to
who
be that young.
plays Mimi in Rent plays Angelica Schuyler in Hamilton. That's kind of funny.
The original Mimi and Rent?
No, the Mimi in the movie.
Wait. Maybe I'm thinking of the wrong character. Wait, which one's Mimi? Damn it. That's not the dancer.
The 18-year-old drug addict with AIDS that was, going after Roger.
Oh. Okay. Well, in the movie, that was the night nurse.
Why are you guys
Damn
talking
it.
about
Oh,
this?
maybe it wasn't Mimi. Maybe it was the other girl, lesbian. What's her name? Which, anyways, the girl from Rent is in Hamilton.
All right.
I'll get her name.
Okay.
Yeah, because it was Rosario Dawson was
Rosario
Mimi, right?
Dawson. That's it. She's the night nurse in the Marvel
Yeah,
shows.
That's right.
She's awesome.
Yeah. That's what it was.
But there's
I
no
just-
way she's
I
touring with
recognized him.
Hamilton right now.
I looked them up and I remember seeing. Yeah.
All right.
Not Rosario Dawson.
Well,
Anyways.
this has been a fun
we get-
musical corner. Good night, everybody. We're signing off. Pot of Thrones
I
taking
don't
a
think anyone
turn.
here really was caring about.
Someone out there wants to hear us talk about
was
musical
worried about
theater.
Hamilton or Rent. They're worried about Game of Thrones.
Well, maybe we should talk. Oh, babe, maybe we should talk about us real quick. We have some big news.
What?
Oh.
What is it?
What?
I was
What?
gonna try to
want
break
big
the news
news.
to everyone that we split up.
What?
So
This is news to me.
we were just trying to combat some confusion, but apparently we've already made things more confusing. But if you're on Twitter and you look up @Pod of Thrones, you will find that to now be a separate and severed account from @KidFreeWeekend.
Because we've separated.
There
you
are two
separated
of us
Game
now.
of Thrones out from.
Well, mostly we
That makes more
separated
sense.
Jeff out from Jennifer because people would sometimes be confused about who they were talking to.
Right.
So we just
And
figured what
Jennifer's
the heck.
much more interesting, so
That's
maybe I really
true.
want to talk to you anyways.
And she's funnier.
He gets more action on his Twitter.
What? What kind of action am I getting there,
Well,
babe?
Because you post all kinds of things that is usually controversial. And I don't usually. I mean, I get pissed off every once in a while and I'll do it, but I try not to.
I'm more political is what you
Very
said.
much so. So you get a lot more like talking to people and I'm just kind of like, hey, I'm here.
So yes, so you might see a difference in the behaviors of the original @KidFreeWeekend Twitter account, but maybe not. There's a lot to be angry about in the world. You might sign on to it if you take a look.
Yeah.
It hasn't been a good day either.
Moving on. Keep moving
Don't want
on.
to talk about it? Okay.
No.
All right. So so @Pod of Thrones, it's a Twitter account I had a long time ago. I renamed it to be @Pod of Thrones, and I have like no followers. So
Oh, I'll follow
Please-
you.
please
Kid Free
follow
Weekend
me.
will follow you.
well, you are already.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well,
Because Kid Free Weekend used to be your personal account,
Mhm.
and then we chose that one to be the one for the show.
I think I just want my name.
Yeah, well, put your name on there.
Okay.
I'm not trying to take your name away.
I think it's time for you guys to split the up because every time I see like them together in something, I always think one of you guys cheated. That's why you have to follow each other's Twitters.
Well, we are following each other. That way we can keep an eye on each other. Make sure
Oh.
no one's
I
up to
meant
any hanky
like
Right.
when you have like the same sign-on name and everything.
Yeah,
All right.
it's fine. She's going to
So,
keep an eye on me.
Pot of Thrones.
So
At
@Pod of Thrones, and then @Kid Free Weekend, still active
Hi.
as Jennifer.
All right.
There you go. That's the big news from us.
So we're talking about
Okay.
Game of Thrones today, right?
Oh, I don't know. You want to take a vote?
Eventually, we'll get there.
Let's take a vote. All
I
in favor,
vote.
say aye.
I
Okay. All right. Go for it, babe. What do you want to tell
we'll
us?
talk about it?
I didn't want to tell you anything.
Well, you're looking at your phone right now.
I'm just looking because you guys are so freaking boring. With your whole rant.
Rich.
How dare you?
What the fuck, man? Fine. You know what? If I get Hamilton tickets, guess who's my date? Fucking Kevin, not you.
All right.
Kevin, you'll fly out for that, right? It's probably cheaper than getting scalp tickets. Well,
Okay,
you're looking at
so-
something. What are you looking at over there, babe? Porn or Game of Thrones stuff or what?
Oh, God. You're just throwing me all off. Stop. I don't know. Just move. I got to get myself back together now.
So they're done filming Game of Thrones, you guys.
Today, right? Or was it today or yesterday?
No, it might have been last week or very recently, but it seems like they're done filming. They probably have a lot of post-production to do with all those dragon special effects and White Walkers and
They'll fix it in post.
walls. Yeah,
Right.
They have a lot of work to do. But it does appear that they're done filming, and the word came out that I think we speculated about this a long time ago, and then there were more rumors a little while ago, but it appears to be official that they did film multiple endings and had self-destructing scripts so that nothing would leak
What?
out. You didn't hear about that? Yeah. They had scripts that destroyed themselves.
Nice.
Has anything leaked out? I've been trying to avoid leaks.
I've been trying to avoid them too, so I don't really know. But as far as I know, there haven't been any major leaks.
Every year they have a post or something where like they get almost every single thing right. There's also some that get almost everything wrong, so you never really know which is right. But
yeah, but then as soon as you see one thing that's right, you're like, I remember that post, and it said that Daenerys was going to do this, and Jon was going to suck this person, and all that stuff. But, well, there was the one sort of spoiler a while ago, and I can't remember what episode we talked about this in. Fuck, it might have been with you 2 months ago, Kevin, but it was some picture had leaked out that showed that was everybody in King's Landing.
At the dragon's...
The dragon's roost or nest or arena, whatever the fuck, landing.
Yes.
Whatever that was.
There was that.
Huge conglomeration of characters. But maybe that was just a cast photo. Maybe they were just assembling
but
everything.
That's not the picture that I got.
So there was that. I don't remember what episode we talked about that in, but otherwise I haven't really heard anything about leaks. But I've heard a couple leaks, but I don't know. Could be just rumors. You know how that goes. Do you want to share, or are they?
Bran Stark is the third dragon rider.
I don't like that.
Is he?
That's what they're saying.
Well, riding which dragon? Unless he can ride the Night King's dragon.
I don't know.
Maybe he could. Maybe he could fix... Which dragon was that? Viserion?
There's only 2 dragons now.
Drogo's still around?
Drogon's the main dragon. He's fine. And then there's Rhaegal and Viserion. I think Viserion is the one that died.
Well, that is fitting.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. But maybe Bran could bring that one back. Use like his time mind control, time shifting powers on it. Get inside its head like he did to poor Hodor. Did you just shiver?
Maybe.
Mm-hmm. It's cold in his head.
I thought she was thinking about Jon.
It's not cold in the room we're in. It's cold inside Bran's head.
No, inside the dragon's head.
And that made you shiver.
Yeah.
Man, I wish this was a video podcast sometimes. So Bran could be a dragon rider. That's where we're at.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No. That seems stupid.
I want it to be Tyrion, damn it. He deserves this.
I don't think he wants to ride a dragon.
Dragon rider.
His legs are not long enough.
Okay, well, will Jon be a dragon rider? He's got to be, right?
Mm-mm.
The way Drogon took to him.
Oh,
the way he's really a Targaryen. Like, we don't have any confirmation on Tyrion being a Targaryen. But we do have that confirmation for Jon.
Okay.
What do you think, Kevin? Fill us with your wisdom.
I don't know. I don't think I want Jon to be a dragon rider.
Well,
he already has enough going on, right?
Well, I mean, what does he have going on? He's the king of the north, and he's the consort of the true queen, and he's also her nephew. He doesn't know it yet,
but he should. He's number one in line for the throne. He's rightful heir.
There you go, because it was a legitimate marriage, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so he does have a bit going on, but if he's the number one in line for the throne and he's a Targaryen, then shouldn't he, by all rights, be a dragon rider? And that's what they were, right? He's a dragon rider. I can feel it coming. He's going to ride that dragon. He's going to mount it like he mounted Daenerys.
Okay.
After the hypothermia. She warmed him up first, and then he mounts her.
Oh, my goodness.
I have her tweet from when the last day.
Amelia?
Yeah, do you want to hear it?
Yes.
Okay. She says, hopped on a boat to an island to say goodbye to the land that has been my home away from home for almost a decade. It's been a trip at Game of Thrones. Thank you for the life I never dreamed I'd be able to live and the family I'll never stop missing.
Aw. Is there a picture?
No.
Oh.
No.
Well, that's very sweet, though.
Sophie,
there's this. I think that's her Instagram picture.
Turner got the tattoo, right?
Yes.
No, I didn't hear about this.
What?
What?
I tweeted it.
Well, I don't
Oh
read
my
all.
God. It says,
See, this is why we need separate accounts, because now I'll see all your tweets, because you really don't see your own tweets on your own fucking timeline. So I'm sorry, babe, but we had to
coming
split
around
up.
circles. We still haven't started talking about the
At Pod of Thrones. What? Well, what
the
tattoo?
prequel.
the what?
Well,
Prequel.
I
Oh.
want to hear about the tattoo first.
Okay, well, so she got another tattoo. This one says it's a Stark wolf head, and it says the pack survives.
Well, that sounds like a spoiler.
No shit.
Jesus.
That's just a saying that they said. They
It's
said
true.
a couple times in the show.
Well, she could have gotten winter is coming.
Maybe it's untrue,
Well, they also
and she's
said the
trying to
pack
throw us
survives
off.
as well.
Maybe it was a fake tattoo just to throw us off.
But what about Maisie? Because those two are like, they're like
We don't know
this.
about her tattoos yet.
She's old enough for us to know about her tattoos, but I think they got matching tattoos once before.
They did. I don't know if she got this one.
Because I really want Arya to live through this. Really do. She's a pretty cool character. But she's also a fighter, and fighters don't tend to live as long. Come on, Arya. What?
Well, do you guys want to get back to the story that you were talking about?
Actually, I've been wanting to
story?
bring something up before we get back to the prequel.
Okay.
Before we talk about
What
the prequel.
else do you want to bring up, Kevin?
So it's been such a long time since we seen any Game of Thrones, and it got me thinking.
Yeah.
How many stories in our life have we heard where someone was an orphan and they find out that they have royal blood and become the king of a nation?
Most of them.
Any orphan
Most
movie.
of them. You know, you could say King Arthur or even Oedipus,
Luke
all that
Skywalker.
stuff.
I
Right.
mean, he's like the king of the Jedis,
that
but
exact.
Mhm.
Yeah, Luke Skywalker. Yep, that exact story is Jon Snow. The only difference is we got to meet his father for a little bit before he became an orphan. Went away, got powerful, came back to become king.
Well, wait. Who's his father? Are you talking about Ned?
No, I mean we found out who his father was. So he was an orphan from the very beginning, raised by adopted parents.
Well, yeah.
Kind of like Oedipus.
Luke Skywalker.
Yep, raised by adopted parents.
Well, you might be. You're probably right. It's funny because at first I'm thinking George R.R. Martin has gone out of his way so many times to not succumb to standard storytelling tropes by killing the heroes left and right.
Oh my gosh. I haven't. Go ahead.
Well, but on the other hand, this is a song of fire and ice, and if Jon is ice in that story, then the fact that like Robb Stark was our big hero for the first couple of seasons and then got horribly, horribly murdered doesn't really matter, right? Because it's really all about Jon,
That's
and the
what I'm
rest of it is
saying.
just fluff.
Well, let me just tell you something that I'm
Okay.
reading right now. So,
She was listening to our conversation too, Kevin. Don't worry.
Winter's Coming tweeted saying George R. R. Martin's friend, Outlander author Diana Gabaldon.
Is that how she says it too?
Yes.
Hello, I'm Diana Gabaldon.
Says he's written himself into a corner with the winds of winter. And she said, have you ever killed somebody off that you later realized you needed?
Well, comic book authors do that shit all the time, but then they just bring them back.
So he's regretting killing somebody. Maybe Rob. Maybe anybody. Hundreds of people.
Right. I mean, how many major
I was
characters?
just thinking about how the only difference between that story and Star Wars is, or Harry Potter, or I mean, just
Right.
we got to meet some of the players before he became that. I mean, he wasn't orphaned all the way. We get to meet Luke Skywalker's uncle and kind of like him and follow along with him. That type of stuff. That's the only difference between Jon and all these other tropes, or however you call it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just wanted to bring that up because when you talk about the sequel, and I'm going to tell you why I don't think it's a good idea. And then you guys tell me what you think it is, because more Game of Thrones, right? That makes it really good.
The sequel or the prequel?
The prequel.
And you don't think the prequel's a good idea?
I don't think the prequel is a good idea, and here's why.
Okay.
Because in the essence, you get this story of Jon and stuff like that. But at the beginning of Game of Thrones, why it's such a fresh a breath of fresh air. I need to learn how to talk tonight.
It's in you fit with us just fine, says Jeff.
Yeah. The story starts off, with Ned. He's already done his heroic stuff. With the king, he's already done his heroic stuff. It's after they've done all the heroic stuff that you get to meet them and you get to see what happens when you go. This is the part of the story where they say, and then they lived happily ever after. It's the end of Robert's rebellion, and at the end they say, and then Robert takes the crown, and then they live happily ever after. This is the happily ever after.
Yeah, it's blissful.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. But it never really is happily. This shows what happens when the people who were the fairy tale kings and legends and stuff became what happened to them. That's why I always loved Game of Thrones, because it was what happens after they do their heroic stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
and then you get the new heroes coming up between it. So if you go back and you start doing prequels of that stuff, now these people who are flawed, like for example, Jaime. We went over this whole entire podcast where we went through this long thing about how Jaime was Prince Charming before you met him, right?
Sure.
Now you get to see that, but you already know what he does after the happily ever after. So you're already kind of, I don't know if I can, go along with this guy and enjoy what he's doing because I know what he does later on in life. Those type of things.
Yes.
So the prequels are going to have time.
But that's not the prequel we're going to get.
They need to take these stories that we think we know, Bran the Builder or, Lon the Clever, all those people that we think we know, and then they need to subvert it so that all this stuff is kind of blown up, is different than what we heard,
Right. That was just running through my head as you were saying it too, which is that, okay, so we're not getting Robert's Rebellion as the prequel, at least not right now.
Well, yeah.
And some people want to see that. I wouldn't mind seeing it, but I think it would be better as maybe a standalone movie rather than an entire new series with multiple seasons.
Well, here, let me tell you how it could take Robert's Rebellion and make it more interesting to me. And it may not be interesting to more people, like, oh, that sounds stupid, but it could work. How about instead of, Robert triumphantly killing Rhaegar, what if Rhaegar is throwing himself at mercy and Robert goes ahead and kills him anyways? That type of thing, where instead of him dying in battle, you see Robert, doing something he shouldn't have done.
Sure.
And it changes the story for you.
It wouldn't surprise me at all, but it would be interesting to watch. But could you build a whole series around that?
Yeah. I don't know if you build a whole series, but I'm saying it's something like that. Take a part of the story that we think we know and then change it on us. Make it so we're surprised by what happens, and it changes the outlook of how we think about some of these characters.
You could build a really compelling Robert's Rebellion era story if let's say, Robert isn't just maybe let's take what you had there, Robert mercilessly murders Rhaegar, unnecessarily so. He could have just taken him as a captive, but he just wanted to kill. He's like a fucking berserker asshole. You could have stuff like that and then just keep magnifying it and have it be from the perspective of the Lannisters actually weren't that bad. In fact, they might have even been the heroes. Maybe they were the ones that were trying to temper Robert, but then he got power and then they had to do what they had to do to bring him down and work behind the scenes and yada, yada, yada. That would really turn things on its head if we suddenly found them to be the sympathetic characters.
Mm-hmm. Robert was very belligerent.
Yeah, I think he always was.
He bankrupted the crown.
Yeah, well, and that was later on down the line, and the Lannisters bankrolled him that whole way. So that would be something, because you get a glimpse of maybe Tywin was actually kind of a good dad. And then of course there's the Reigns of Castamere kind of stuff, but I think that would be pretty interesting. That would make for a fascinating show if we got completely unexpected heroes.
That's what I'm saying. Maybe Rhaegar hears, that Lyanna is going to die from childbirth. They know baby's breached and this is what's going to happen. He goes to him begging, hey, please let me get her to a maester that can help her. And Robert says, no, I'm and he kills him. You know, while he's there begging for his wife's life. It just, you need to take the story that we know and just turn it on its head for us. And it's going to be hard. Or the other thing for the prequels they can do is they can try to, you know, bring in people that we've kind of heard about, but we don't know anything about them, like Brandon the Builder. You know, we know nothing about him outside of, you know, hey, he's the founder of House Stark or something like that, you know?
Well, that's more likely the story that we're actually going to get.
Was he raised in Winterfell? Was he a Storm's End? You know, you really don't know.
Is he actually Bran?
Every big structure, you know, they claim he built. You know, he built Winterfell. He built the Wall. He built Storm's End. Okay, so where did he grow up?
Well, that's okay, right? So, but we might still find out before season 8 of Game of Thrones is over. Maybe it's all in the same Bran, which I'm all for.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be a lot of fun.
But again, like we hear him as someone who has built all this stuff up, but how could one person do all that? You know, how could he be Frank Lloyd Wright or, you know, Bob the Builder, you know, all rolled into like one person? I'm just saying. Well,
we know it only takes a couple days to ride the entire length of the continent of Westeros. Maybe less. So he could get around, and maybe he's a really brilliant architect to design things like the Wall and Winterfell, because he's already been there in the future and he knows the layout, and that makes it a lot easier to draw up the schematics. It's totally paradoxical, fucked up shit. I'm not saying otherwise. She was giving me that funny look. But why the fuck not? I mean, we've already introduced paradox into the whole thing.
I know, but this is what I'm bringing up Brandon the Builder for, because like we think of him as like a person, but I think most people who have like studied the books and have read the books and have, you know, sat on Reddit and stuff like that, they more likely think that Brandon the Builder never existed. He's more like a legend, like, you know, putting a bunch of people together of a bunch of different Stark kings and saying, okay, well, one person did this when it really was a bunch of different kings that did it. So how would they build a prequel like that?
Okay. Well, yeah. And I think what we're going to get is going to be something like that. I think so. What we know is that HBO has ordered a pilot for a series that takes place thousands of years before the current series. We don't know what it's going to be called exactly. And the only synopsis that's come out is that it's going to be at the end of the Age of Heroes when everything turns to shit. That's not HBO's exact words, but it should be. So if we go back those thousands of years, we're still talking about a fantasy land where history is sort of written down, but not everybody knows how to read and write. So it's really still mostly oral tradition. So when old Nan was telling young Bran all those stories about the Age of Heroes and the Long Night and like White Walkers and Nargles or whatever the fuck they had, maybe that's Harry Potter. But if she's making up all those, if she's telling them all those stories, they could be totally wrong, right? Hello? I think we lost Kevin. I think my phone is doing something stupid. Kevin, are you there?
Yeah, it says you put me on hold.
I definitely did not put you on hold. I was getting a phone call, so my phone was being a jerk. Sorry, Kevin.
Okay.
So if we go back to that age, history... I feel like the writers will have complete creative freedom to do whatever the hell they want within sort of broad general, as long as certain broad events happen, like the building of the wall or the White Walkers rise.
You know, the first men and their encroachment into the lands of the children of the forest, stuff like that.
Yeah. Some of that's going to be at a very basic level historically accurate, but you can change almost anything you want as long as the basic concepts are there, because there's a big difference between what people think they know thousands of years later and what really happened. So yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe Bran the Builder was actually like 8 guys.
Yeah. I mean, the most likely scenario is they'll probably do one that involves Last Hero, because that's kind of like what they're doing now. I mean,
who's the last hero?
Because he's the one that helped in the Long Night. It was called the Battle of Dawn, the Battle for the Dawn.
Okay.
And it came from one of Nan's stories. You wanted to read about it.
Old Nan. She's key to all this.
Good old Nan.
So, well, you're our lore master, Kevin. So this hero was basically the same sort of figure as what we're expecting with the prince that was promised in this current.
Kind of like what you expect John to be. The kind of like he's going to end with the Long Night. You know, they're going to fight for basically the humans against the White Walkers and the whites and stuff that are coming along. So he will be the new last hero, basically, at the end of the story. And then when they do a prequel, it'll be almost the exact same story, but with different characters. I mean, that's kind of what you go through with these prequels. What you want something familiar that's different, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
So if they start off during the long winter instead of winter coming, winter's already here. I mean, I said long winter, but it's called the Long Night. Basically, it was a winter that lasted like a whole generation of people.
Yeah.
So it was before the Targaryen conquest and all that. So you wouldn't have the dragons and everything, but you would still have, the White Walkers and the dire wolves and those type of things.
Well, maybe we'd get to see the White Walkers riding around on giant spiders.
Mm-hmm.
I want that. We haven't seen shit of that yet.
Yeah. Yep. So you would get to see stuff like that. It would be almost the exact same story, but the thing about that is it wouldn't be the fact where you're watching like a young Ned Stark and be like, oh, I know what happens to him. He dies. That type of stuff. You would see stuff that you vaguely heard about. That's familiar. It's kind of familiar to you, but it's completely different because it's a different time, different geographics. I mean, everything's going to be different. There's going to be no King's Landing type stuff.
Yeah. They get to pick out all new locations. That'd be awesome. If there's even cities at all. I mean, I don't know what they would have had that long ago. Probably nothing recognizable. Oh, you know what's probably still there 3,000 years ago? That salty caramel throne. I bet that was always there.
So, I mean, I guess...
She doesn't even know what I'm talking about anymore. It's been too long.
She doesn't remember that, does she?
No, she doesn't.
I remember something about it.
The salt chair. It's the throne of kings.
Oh, that's
if you
right.
live on the Iron Islands.
The one in the ocean.
Yeah, I guess so.
I did read an article about a couple more people you could put it on, but I think the last hero is probably their best bet.
I'm all
for
for
the
it.
list that I read.
Sure.
Huh?
Sure.
Right.
Let's hear it.
So they did talk about Brandon the Builder. They talked about Lon the Clever, and Lon was he's the founder of House Lannister. So he was basically Tyrion before before Tyrion.
Okay.
He's described in the book Game of Thrones. They actually describe him. Ned describes him. So if you want to learn more about him, you can read the book and learn about Lon the Clever. Another guy named Durin Godsgrief. That's a weird name, right?
Godsgrief.
He was the founder of... Huh?
Nothing.
She was just exclaiming his name.
Godsgrief, yeah. He was the founder of House Durand. Durandon is how you pronounce it. They held the Stormlands before the Baratheons got there. So you get to hear about him. Like, he's rumored to have married the goddess of the wind and like the dollar sea god and stuff like that. So that would be the type of story that they would probably be going for, where the story is he did this, and then you get to learn what he actually did do. He didn't really marry the wind god. He married someone that people had superstition that take control of the wind, that type of stuff.
Well, maybe, but gods exist in this world, so it's always possible.
I guess, sure, yeah. And
we have certain confirmations.
The other person would be Garth Greenhand, who was alive during the dawn of age. So this was before men stepped onto the Westeros, and he may have just lived on through the Age of Heroes type of stuff. So I know that they said something about the Age of Heroes. So Garth Greenhand would be one. He's more like a myth than a historical figure. So it was,
so he's probably just like a fat drunk and not actually heroic at all, but he had a cool name. It's the alliteration. People latched onto it.
No, I was trying to think of a mythical hero that people, maybe like a Hercules, type of thing. Wasn't more of a myth that everyone, than an actual historical figure.
Yeah.
Garth the Gardener, who would have been the firstborn son of Garth Greenhand.
Okay, let's not do a show about Garth the Gardener. Can we all agree on that? That one's not going to get ratings.
The thing about the difference between Garth the Gardener and Garth Greenhand is most of the maesters think Garth the Gardener is more likely to have existed than Garth Greenhand.
Oh, well, wait a second. If Bran the Builder and Garth the Gardener existed at the same time, that could be the start of like a Super Friends team. You can have like Carl the Constructor and
See,
they'll be singing the song.
The reason they believe more about Garth the Gardener than Garth Greenhand is because like it's said that Garth the Gardener built his house on top of a hill, which later became Highgarden.
Oh, you know who he probably married then to get those gardens going? Iris the Irrigator.
There you go.
She was hot.
Cool. And
wet.
And wet.
You can say it, babe. It's okay. We love your filthy mind.
Oh.
I could see the words coming out of your head. That's why I said it.
Go ahead. We're waiting for you to say something.
I did. I said, and wet.
Oh, man.
I'll pitch this to HBO as soon as I can.
I love it.
Yeah.
All right. What's some more of them? The Grey King.
The Great King or the Grey King?
The Grey King, he got his name because his hair, skin, and eyes were gray. You know, like the Winter Sea.
Ew.
I love that.
His skin was gray?
Well, no.
Is he a vampire?
Because
that would be cool.
Not skin.
We could introduce vampires.
He was the ancient king of the Iron Islands. They said he wore robes of seaweed, a crown of dragon teeth. I mean, stuff like that.
That's why he's gray. It's all the salt air.
Okay.
They say he married a mermaid, you know, reigned for 1,000 years, those type of things.
I'm just thinking of, feel free to Google this, anyone who's listening right now, but the Fiji mermaid, this old creature of sort of modern legend.
That thing that washed up on the shore or whatever that was.
Well, it was one of P.T. Barnum's first acquisitions into his Museum of Curiosities, but it was actually like half an orangutan sewed onto half of a fish.
Oh my God.
It's pretty fucked up looking.
Oh, how awful.
But I could picture someone from the Iron Islands really being into that shit.
Oh my goodness.
Just Google that. Fiji mermaid.
All right.
Picture it sharing the salty chair with you.
All right, so a couple more. Simeon Star Eyes, who is like an ancient warrior. He's awesome because he has like a double-bladed staff.
Nice. Some Darth Maul shit. I like that.
But they also said he was blind. So that would be pretty cool.
Yes.
Like a blind warrior.
I like the blind warriors. Remember that one dude from Rogue One? He was a badass.
He would take sapphires and stick them into his eyes, like his eye sockets.
Ew, wait, his eyes are gone? Ouch. That's different from just being blind. That's ouch.
Yeah, but I mean, if you have no eyes there, would it really hurt?
That would really fuck with your opponents, huh? You'd be like, what the fuck is in his face? That'd be effective. I dig it. I want to see this.
Yeah, they have another guy called Serwyn of the Mirror Shield.
Okay.
He served her house gardener out in the Reach. So you could have both, you know, Garth the Gardener and Serwyn of the Mirror Shield.
Okay.
So his story was pretty cool. I think you've probably heard of it before. He slayed dragon. He slayed a dragon called Urax, and the way he beat the dragon was he approached the dragon from behind like a reflective shield. Mm-hmm. This was Tyrion talks about this in Dance of Dragons. So when Urax turns around, he saw only his reflection, and then Serwyn instead like pulled the shield away and then plunged the spear through his eye. That type of thing. Huh. So that would be pretty cool seeing him kill a dragon. That could be like the first thing you see of him. So like when they sing songs of him, they say he was part of the King's Guard. But I think, and someone can correct me if I'm wrong about this. I don't think the King's Guard existed then. But they still say they was part of it, even though it didn't exist.
3,000
because it wasn't brought into Westeros until by Aegon the Conqueror, like 1,000 years later, than when Serwyn of the Mirror Shield lived. But the songs say he was in it, even though it wasn't there yet. So it was probably like the precursor to it.
Okay.
So they have just that story about him and nothing else. They could do this guy called Grazdin the Great. But the article I was reading called him Grazdin the Not at All Great.
Aww.
He founded a city called Gis, and it was built basically on slave labor that predated. It was all before the finding of Slaver's Bay.
Yeah, that city name sounds familiar. East,
he could be part of them, huh?
That city name sounds familiar.
Yeah. And then the last one they talked about, well, I guess they did talk about a couple more, like the Night King. They could do you already seen the Night King. They could do him.
Well, I think he has to be part of this. But not the main character.
The first Lord Commander of the Night's Watch, because they made a big deal about, John being the 998th Lord Commander of the Night's Watch, those type of things.
Well, wasn't the Night King the first commander of the Night's Watch? Or was he like the 12th or something?
That's the legend, right?
The legend, okay.
And then, of course, Azor Ahai.
Right.
They do him. Those are all the ones they brought up in the article.
But Azor Ahai is not the same as the last hero. Right?
Well, I mean, again, with legends, it could be, it could be the same hero, or they could be separated. I mean, it's like...
Well, because I thought Azor Ahai was a figure from the Long Night.
He's always talked about in vague terms in the books. Like, you go through the book, he's always vague terms.
Yeah.
I mean, they talk about he fought against the darkness. I mean, was he fighting for the battle for the dawn? And then, was he the last hero? He created Lightbringer. He tempered the blade by plunging through his own wife. So Jennifer, you got that to look forward to.
That's metal.
Thanks.
Well, of course, again, that's
those
also
are
legend.
You know about him, but you don't know if he is the actual last hero or if he's the prince that promised. I mean, it's like you don't know these things.
Well, and maybe he didn't really kill his wife. I mean, you're talking about a society that doesn't really think very highly of women, so maybe they just said that to send a message. Like, this is okay.
That's the whole point of the prequel. They could take these things and change them any way they want to.
That's right. Now, it would cause a lot of fan uproar, though. If they suddenly do something like, the Night King was actually a lady, and she wasn't from the Night's Watch. She was from Essos or something, and she was a former slave. Like, they could do anything, but I think there would be a lot of anger from people who are like, that's not what it says in the books, assholes. Right?
I know, but see, what it says in the books are just legends anyways.
Well, I know, but I guess I would just worry that if you deviate too much, you'll have to spend somehow through some kind of PR campaign a lot of time explaining to people that old Nan's stories were stories. Of course, they're all stories made by George R.R. Martin, but you know what I'm saying, right? Like, it could cause...
I understand what you're saying.
It could cause chaos.
That type of, like, what you're talking about reminds me of what I think the final, like, in the book, if you ever get to the book, what the final book's going to be about. And, or what the final book's going to be about, but what the final chapter is going to be about. Hey.
The final...
Dog of Thrones
we're having
talking.
That is not Dog of Thrones. That is a dog that's like 2 blocks away outside, and somehow...
Oh my goodness, that's loud.
Close the window.
The window's so far away. I got my headphones on. I can't get there. I'm sure that the dog's probably done now. No, all right.
Good job. Good call on that one.
It's done. It's done now. Nope. All right. Let's just move on. Stupid dog. What were we talking about? I forget. Something about the prequels. So they could do it. I think it's exciting. I am really looking forward to this. That's all I got.
I'm worried about just taking a book that, we all love and ruining it.
Well, don't think about it as being part of the book. Just think about it as being something separate.
Are you, Kevin, one of the people that was like, Solo is an abomination of Star Wars lore and everyone that made it should be shot?
No.
Are you one of those?
Oh, good.
Okay.
No, I didn't bug me at all.
Because they sort of tweak things from the history that we all know and love, and then people get really offended as if it's not Lucasfilm's right to change the story at all.
Yeah.
Did you see
His
Solo,
story,
Kevin?
but you can't change it. All right. So what I was going to say, sorry, before the dog started barking was,
right. Yeah, well, we killed the dog. It's fine now.
Okay, the dog's dead.
Yeah, Jennifer's outside burying it right now. She'll be right back.
Good job. All right. So starting in the Feast of Crows, or the Feast for Crows. Jeez, I can't talk tonight. Starting in the Feast for Crows, he started like naming some of his chapters, stuff like the Captain of the Guards, the Kraken's Daughter, the Soiled Knight, stuff like that.
Rather than just Yara 1 and Tyrion 3 and stuff like that.
The Queen Maker, the Princess in the Tower, instead of, those type of things.
That must be more fun.
So, yeah, probably. But later on, like at the end of the book, the ugly little girl, stuff like that. So at the end of the book, the last chapter is going to be, years, hundreds of years in the future, kind of like what we're at, with where Game of Thrones is compared to, The Long Night. And these guys are just legends now. And now, Brienne, who, is only so tall, is so much taller now in the stories. The ugly little girl who really isn't that ugly is now so super ugly. It's
things get magnified. It's all propaganda.
Yeah, but it's going to be them telling the stories in the future. Everything, they're legends now. This is what, the prequels bring to you. They're telling stories of legend. Oh, tell me about Brienne, the unkempt or whatever they called her.
Is that what they called her?
Tell me about the Oathkeeper, the Keenmaker. Tell me about tell me about the Kraken's Daughter.
Right. So like Arya someday, if she lives, will be like old Nan.
Yeah.
Aw. That makes me kind of sad to think of Arya as this old lady that can't kill anyone anymore. She'll still be able to kick some ass. I just feel
like the last chapter is going to be that. It's going to be in the future. The epilogue is going to be in the future with, them telling the stories again, but completely exaggerated to what we read,
That'd be cool.
Yeah. Anyways, that's my thoughts on the prequel. Sorry,
I'm excited. I think it's great. I'm really mostly excited for the gardener dude, more than anyone else. That guy's gonna be awesome.
I would be super excited about Simeon the Star Eyes. That would be pretty cool.
Well, so did he exist at the same time as The Long Night? Because from what HBO's released, what little information, it seems like that's going to be what we're heading for.
Yeah, it seems like that's the way we're heading. He could. Who knows? It could be like his time period was moved around in the histories or in the stories and the legends, but he really was during this time period type stuff.
True. All right.
Even with our current history, like our real life world history, it changes sometimes where you learn, this didn't really happen, But like, let's take, for example, let's bring it back to the beginning, what we were talking about. Okay, so Hamilton in the play. In the play, Philip Schuyler has 3 daughters, and that's it. In real life, he had, probably 16 kids, sons and all. But over time, people only watch Hamilton. They may begin to think that Philip Schuyler only had 3 kids, and then, when they're telling the story later on, that may be how the story goes.
That's true. You could get some shitty kid that grows up in this day and age, writes a history book later on down the line, and just goes with what he knows rather than checking his facts.
Aaron Burr was black, and Hamilton was Puerto Rican. And
oh, God. Now you're scaring me, Kevin. Now I'm worried for our future. Thanks for that.
It doesn't matter. It's all good.
I'm just saying, that's the way that legends grow sometimes. History has changed. We think Napoleon Bonaparte was, 3 feet tall, basically, and it was really just normal, everyday size of what humans were at that time.
It's true. Yep. No, you're right. You're absolutely right. And I, as a good fan and a critical thinker, I get it. And I guess maybe it doesn't matter if there's some kind of crazy backlash from a certain sect of the fan community that's like, you're deviating from the books, fuck you. Except if it makes the ratings tank, and then it would ruin it for all of us. If it just goes away.
Maybe.
Yeah. That's really my only worry. I don't have any problem ignoring communities because I typically don't have time for it anyway. I just can't keep up with all that stuff.
Just think about it if they did Robert's Rebellion and it turns out that it wasn't like the story said.
Yeah, I'm in now. I hadn't really thought that would be an intriguing story until we just started talking this out. But now I want that. I want it to be completely flipped on its head.
Tower of Joy. We saw that play out, you know, through Bran's eyes.
Right.
Bran always thought his father defeated,
and that's not the truth.
He won, fair and square, but we found out he didn't. It differs from the book. The book, there's more people there. There was, a bigger fight, but what we saw on screen was a little different. People were, why did, they did it for, budget and TV reasons, but what if it was always that way and it just got exaggerated up to, there was,
Don't
3
they
versus
always?
10 instead of, what we saw.
Right. I mean, when people tell stories in real life, it's always exaggerated.
Of course.
Right. And
it's in our nature.
You have to remember, when we read these stories and we watch these stories, they're telling it through, an unreliable narrator. I mean, the perfect example is Cersei. In her stories, she's getting mad at the maids for shrinking her clothes when in fact she's just gaining weight.
That sounds like something I'd probably do. God damn it, my shirts are shrinking. I'm going to take these back to the store. Hand me a Pop-Tart.
So they can take this unreliable narrator and the prequels, they can probably do whatever they want with it. And then the people are just going to have to deal with, hey, you were listening to it, a Nan tell a story about a giant with blue eyes. Okay, calm down. Her story was a little off.
What? Babe just gasped.
What if at the end it's just Bran laying in bed listening to Nan's stories?
Oh my!
That's
goodness.
the whole show.
That's the whole show.
The prequel or this show?
That would
this
suck
show.
So bad.
So that would follow. That would put Game of Thrones in the same vein as Saint Elsewhere and Newhart.
Yeah, Newhart. That's what I was thinking of. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, Saint Elsewhere. Do you remember that one,
It would
Kevin?
be more like Saint Elsewhere because, the autistic kid looking in the
Yeah, he was just
With the
staring
snow
into a
globe,
snow
right?
globe for like 9 years.
Well, it won't be that.
It's
It's not going to be that, but that would be shitty.
so bad.
That would be for shitty. I think we all agree with that.
How about at the end? Someone pops up out of the ground and you find out you've been in Westworld the whole time.
Well, yeah, that's what I was about to say. Like, that's the other fan theory that's going around right now, which is like, maybe season 8, fucking the end comes and like Maeve shows up and makes everyone kill themselves.
Delios that comes and takes control. Like, oh my goodness, you guys have gone off the rails. John, you're the only human in here, so come on out.
Oh, the dragons are all robots.
Oh my God, that would explain why everyone wants to fuck John. Because he's
why
hot.
John doesn't die.
He is hot, that's why.
No, it's because they're all robots. They're all robots that are programmed to want to fuck John. Damn it. He's not that hot.
Yeah.
He got married.
He did.
I saw that.
He got married.
He and Leslie Rose got married.
Rose Leslie.
Leslie Rose. It just sounds better.
I am just trying to help you be the best news reporter you can be.
Better.
So now she's Rose Snow.
What?
Nice.
Rose Harrington. I wonder if she took his last name.
Probably not. It doesn't seem like actresses do that.
No.
They do in private, but they keep their stage name.
True. You'll have to do some research on that one, babe. Get back to the
I will.
The reporting tunnels or whatever that is. I don't know. The internet, I guess.
Well,
Go be a
thank
reporter.
you guys for letting
Figure
me
that out.
Rant about the prequel. Sorry if I talk too much.
No, Kevin, we have you on because
also speaking of the prequel,
we want you talking.
He's cutting his hair and shaving his beard so that he can be in the prequels as a different person.
There you go.
You know who'd be a good person in the prequel?
Me?
They gotta
Sean
put
Bean?
Gendry in the prequel as probably Renly, not as Robert, even though he's Robert's son in this.
Put Gendry in as a young Renly. Well, he'd have to be like the first Baratheon. That'd be cool, though.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Bob the Baratheon.
Anyways.
I don't know. It's so far away. Why are we even talking about this?
I don't know.
I feel like now I'm just depressing myself because I got all excited and I'm like, we're going to see this in like 4 years. Fuck. Maybe 2. Maybe 2.5.
Because they're making us wait forever for season 8.
Yeah. We don't have a date on season 8, but okay. So here's my
It's less
last
than a
thing.
year away, right?
Well, we don't know for sure. We know 2019. But here's what I just came to a realization of within the last week or two, but we haven't talked about it yet. Jennifer and I are going to San Diego Comic-Con in just a few weeks. And we went last year because we were super excited to go see Game of Thrones and Westworld, and that was awesome. And we saw a bunch of other things too, which were great. They got us hooked on Walking Dead badly. But we're going this year, and HBO is not.
Maybe it's all a hoax. Maybe they're really going to be there. They're going to surprise us. I'd scream.
Sure, let's hope. But
I'll be like, ah!
Then you'll faint.
Yeah.
But so let's assume if Jennifer's wrong, they're skipping Comic-Con this year. And my theory now is that they're skipping Comic-Con this year because
all those fuckers.
Because they're going to do a Game of Thrones panel next year, and that will be shortly before the release. So I'm thinking we're going to get the final Game of Thrones season like August of 2019.
But they don't really need that.
No, they don't.
And it's pretty crazy scene to get in and out of.
What, Comic-Con?
Yes.
Not for them.
Really?
Not if you're VIPs. You don't have to be part of it.
It's still crazy down there.
They book you a hotel room. They walk you around everywhere you need to go. You can put on a costume so no one knows who you are. And you don't have to wait in any of the fucking lines. I am sure Comic-Con is amazing if you're a VIP.
Well, I'm not so sure.
Well, we'll find out in just another year or two. We'll be VIPs there ourselves. Yeah, totally. Totes. So that's my prediction, is mid to late summer 2019. That's when we're going to get Game of Thrones final season.
That makes sense.
You heard it here first.
I feel like at one point we heard April of 2019, but they don't know that. They don't know how long it's going to take them.
And that's still an option. They could go shortly. They could go like spring of 2019, and then when we go to Comic-Con, if they do a panel, then it would be like the celebration of everything. But San Diego is the biggest hype for nerd shit you can hype, and it just seems like that would be the time to get everyone into that. After such a long downtime, you could really get us into a fury of excitement. If you do a panel, show us a preview on the big screen, we blast it out to the internet, we fucking jizz our pants, and then it premieres right after Comic-Con. That's what I would do.
How many people fit in Hall H?
Have to wait that long.
How many what, babe?
People fit in Hall H?
I think about 6,000.
Well, that's only 6,000 people blowing their wad over it.
6,000 people like tweeting to everybody they know all at the same time.
Yeah. I don't think they need to go. I think they're not. They're so big.
Well, I don't know. It's hard to predict, but that's just what I'm saying. That's my theory. I'm sticking to it for now until we get more information. Okay. Well, thanks for joining us, Kevin.
Is this all we're talking about?
Well, it's been an hour.
There's nothing else to talk about, right?
There's lots of things we could talk about, although Kevin has not seen the last episode of Westworld yet, and we have not podcasted about it as of the time of recording this, but we will be doing that either immediately following talking to Kevin or within the next 24 hours. So that's coming.
All right.
But then I hope at some point we can still chit chat about that, and geek out on some other shit. And keep an eye out for more Game of Thrones news. Maybe something will happen. You never know.
Yep.
Jennifer will be watching with her special reporter eyes.
That's right.
She shoves them into her face when she needs to do some reporting.
Yes.
Where her regular eyes used to be.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Swap them out.
Jennifer Reporter Eyes, they called her.
Okay.
Oh, God. All right. We need dinner.
Yeah. Good night, Kevin.
Thanks again, Kevin. Have a good night. We love you. Come visit. Come visit. We'll go to Hamilton. Just you and me. It's going to be awesome.
I love you, Kevin.
Yes. You get tickets. Yep. I'm coming.
Sweet. I'll shave and everything. It's going to be awesome.
You enjoy yourself.
All right. You too. Bye, guys.
Bye.